Hey guys, welcome back. So I opted for the indoor video today because it's still pretty hot out there, and last time I was in nature, I pretty much got devoured by mosquitoes. So we're gonna sidestep that today. And I've been wanting to get this video out for a little bit, but I just kept reflecting on it to gain more and more ideas on this concept, and mainly the fact that the Garden of Eden is not something we necessarily want to return to. That may be where we were first created and where we come from, but it's not our end goal. And I talked about this previously in regards to the void, right? It's again not our end goal. We could have been created out of the void. Out of that void came maybe the Garden of Eden, right? Because in the Gnostic text, the Apocryphon of John, it is said that Yahweh was created, the Eldebaoth, the Demiurge, and he was a blind god because he saw no other god and thought of himself as the only god, right? Now, his playground that was created was this Garden of Eden, right? We look to the Bible, it said Yahweh. I believe it says that in the Bible. But we can make other connections in regards to things that we find in other, let's say, aspects of research when studying people like Admiral Byrd and very old maps with the concept of Hyperborea. Now, Hyperborea is alluding to the Borea, the Aurora Borealis. Now, this Aurora Borealis could actually be the Ouroboros, the green lights or the green serpent surrounding the Earth, creating the toroidal field. Because again, what is the toroidal field? It's this apple-shaped, right, net, and even when you do that, it looks like the Ouroboros. The infinity symbol is just reversed. It's an actual 8. And could that be the serpent that is actually containing the Earth, the magnetic field? And it's green, potentially alluding to the heart chakra, potentially, which is an anagram for Earth, okay? And that stems from the North Pole and could be coming from inside the Earth. Now, inside the Earth is where Admiral Byrd is said to have traveled. And Hyperborea means hyper, past, or more than the Borea, which is the north wind, the Aurora Borealis. So past the Aurora Borealis, because you can see the Aurora Borealis from the glacier-like environment, the Arctic, right? But past that, there are tales of a paradise, of a temperate climate paradise where there's no need for food, work, or war, right? The Hyperboreans were said to be very at peace with everyone else. Apparently the other giants were fighting amongst each other, but they were at peace. Now, again, in the Garden of Eden, we were also at peace. That doesn't mean we were necessarily in our home, our true home, next to Source, next to the true Father. Because just like in the concept of these false heavens, which that's what I think the Garden of Eden is, a false heaven, it can get boring. There's nothing to actually do. Again, the illusion of free will becomes more apparent because, here in this 3D realm, we have to work. We constantly have a sense of purpose because we need to survive, and that's keeping us busy. Whereas if you really think about it, what is there really to do? What can we really do? You can play in the Earth, you can go swimming, you can go exploring, but what can you really do? Can you just transform into a butterfly? Can you fly? Can you travel to different dimensions? Are you allowed to explore fully, or are you contained, kind of like a zoo, right? Do the animals in the zoo have free will, or is it contained? Is it an illusion of free will? So these are concepts that we have to think about. Do we have this free will, or do we have this life purpose slash mission, which I think are mutually exclusive? Because if you don't fulfill the mission, yeah, you have free will to fulfill the mission, let's say, right? You can fulfill it or not fulfill it. But if you don't fulfill it, you get punished. There is the aspect of shame and guilt, that it happens in the life review, and then you're basically coerced into reincarnation, right? Oh, you didn't do your job, you gotta go back, right? On top of that, you don't remember this mission in the first place. So how are you supposed to fulfill it if you don't remember it? You usually, if someone tells you to go grocery shopping, they give you a list, or they tell you that you're going grocery shopping. They don't just drop you at the grocery store and be like, figure it out. Or you don't even remember being dropped off at the grocery store to begin with. That's the thing. We are like Alice in Wonderland, except Alice at least somewhat remembered where she came from. Maybe she didn't remember that she fell asleep, but she remembered that she came from somewhere else and she needed to go home. So she was constantly searching to go home, right? Whereas we have no recollection of this. We are essentially lost at sea, which is what maritime law describes. So this illusion of free will is much more apparent in this Garden of Eden state, where who is the ruler? Saturn. And who do the Hyperboreans worship? Well, the Greeks claim to have been Apollo or Kronos. Apollo is seen as the sun god, Kronos as father time. Now the sun god was actually still Kronos. It was actually still Saturn, because Saturn was seen as the sun. Then the Hyperboreans worshipped gold, because they were actually in the golden age at the time. And this is a connection that can be made. The Anunnaki are said to have worshipped gold. They were all about gold and mining gold. Now, whether it was physical gold or not, the importance is the connection to gold, whatever the gold may mean, whether it's spiritual or physical. In that realm, more than likely, it's some sort of spiritual gold, which could be an allusion to energy. Because this Garden of Eden, although I believe we can access it from here, there may be an actual physical portal in the center of the earth, or at the top of the earth, the North Pole or whatever, towards Polaris, which the Hyperboreans were also called Polarians. Getting into my next point, that Aryans are actually descendants of these Polarians or Hyperboreans. And although the Hyperboreans were more peaceful, the Aryans were not as peaceful, and conquered very many nations and brought lots of war. Although they did bring their knowledge, the Vedas describe tall white blondes coming forth from spacecraft, from the air. That's why they're Aryans or aliens, from a different dimension likely, and bringing forth knowledge to humanity to guide them, to introduce a higher species, potentially a more elevated species that they can better use, right? You want them to be just intelligent enough for your job, but not smart enough to realize that they're being used, just like the school system is doing, right? They don't teach you actual knowledge, gnosis. They teach you how to work for someone. So these Hyperboreans, existing in this different dimension, ruled again by Saturn, by Yahweh. Saturn was considered a benevolent god. It was seen as the father. It was worshipped. And then, since it was controlling that realm, it and they fell, potentially, although it's more likely just an aspect of itself that it's still controlling. And now Saturn has turned into the malevolent one, the black sun. right? And we have its opposite, the white sun that we see every day, right? But it's still the same being that's in control. It's said that Saturn rules this 3D reality. And then we have the Saturn moon matrix. So it's still controlling all of these realms. We are on Earth, and the Garden of Eden would be on Saturn, potentially. So it's the good cop in the Garden of Eden, because, oh, welcome back to my garden of eating. And my guardian angels, or or you could be on Earth, where we indirectly feast on you through your energy source, through your physical bodies. You could be here and play, really, and be in boredom because nothing's happening, or you could be on Earth in the chaos, or in the ups and downs of emotion, the roller coaster ride. That's why Earth is the Midgard plane. It's in the middle of the toroidal field, because it's experiencing both of the dualities, whereas the duality potentially shifts to the higher planes and more of a higher vibrational frequency, and then the lower ones would be more of the hellish frequency, right? Both existing in the same system. And whether this is all a game or some sort of dream or not only serves this theory, I believe, because the game is not benefiting anyone. It's a hijacked game or dream or nightmare, is what we can say at best of it, because this whole place is based on death. It's an illusion of death, yeah, but then that also creates the illusion of life. Really, they're both aspects of death, what's happening. Life is created just so it can die, and death is used from that, right? Everything needs to die so that it creates a transfer of energy, and the loop goes round and round, right? Saturn is considered the planet of death. It's a black, right? It rules death. It's the grim reaper. When you surrender, the last, means last, coming from last, or to get over. Ender, the ender of worlds, the ender of life. You surrender to God. That's what it means, I believe. It's giving into the reaper. And then to get past this whole matrix, you'd have to surrender to source, and essentially, or getting over this reaper, getting past the death matrix. And again, Saturn had us there in the Garden of Eden. That means it rules that plane all the way down, right? Simulations on simulations, turtles on turtles. And I'll have to look that up a little bit more, the turtle decode. Maybe there's something to that, if that actually relates to simulation itself. Turtles all the way down, right? So, and that, with that idea, these concepts, I would say that even returning to the Garden of Eden, or even returning to that, dare I say, higher consciousness that all these occultists so desperately proclaim is necessary, that one must raise their vibration, raise their consciousness through these physical means, through, let's say, extra meditations, through sexual practices, tantra, whatever. Raising that consciousness, again, likely will only get you to the Garden of Eden state, the false paradise. Whereas true gnosis is remembering where you're from, is remembering that you are in this dream, or multi-layered dream simulation, and looking for a way out, or seeking to return, or having the intent, rather. You want to turn your desires into intent, because then it's not a desire anymore, you are fulfilling it. I think that's a good way to see it. You're turning your intent into returning to the true worlds. And in this book, Can You Stand the Truth? The true worlds are actually described as the hyper universes, and actually more trees of necessarily of life. There's trees of other aspects of source. Just like there were aeons, aspects of source, there are trees, which are essentially like the Norse tree of dimensions, right? The Norse tree is basically describing the tree we are in, the universe we are in, and embodying all the dimensions that we can go through, the different worlds, 9 worlds. Although I don't know if there are 9 specifically, but there may be. So that's what I've been thinking about with this video, and I wanted to relate to you guys. Again, it's to further the point of this illusion of evolution of our consciousness, of our guidance from these beings, putting us through this process, right? Oh, here you go, you're gonna go up this loop, and then you're gonna go down. Oh no, you're gonna come back around, and you're gonna fulfill the 8, and oh, you're just right back where you started. But you don't remember that, right? The illusion of movement. Yeah, you're moving. You're on the roller coaster. You've been moving this whole time, but you didn't go anywhere. Only the ego is the one evolving. So why not get rid of it in the first place? It's the mask, right? And we are so much more than that. Yeah, come to heaven, then go back down to hell, and then come back up to heaven. It's, in my opinion, a trick. It's not a trap. It could be a trap, but in a trap, you're stuck. You can't move. You don't have the ability to get out. But in a trick, it's manipulation, it's coercion. Once you realize it's a trick, it turns from magic into a card trick. If you've seen the movie, I just rewatched the movie, Now You See Me 2, the second one. And I'm glad I did, because there were a lot of connections to occult societies, and everything they were doing was emanating that, even though it's a movie about magic. It's actually much deeper. The society, of course, is called the Special Magic Society. That actually they call it a secret magic society. It's called the Eye, which is an allusion to Lucifer, the Watcher. And guess what the Eye has been doing? It's been watching these magicians. Except these magicians, they're fighting to be in this Eye, and they're trying to do all these tricks and whatever, help humanity with their magic, without realizing that they've essentially been guided by this Eye the whole time, because everything was already planned out. It was staged. So they thought they were exercising their free will when they essentially had been pushed in that direction the whole time, for the purpose of them working together, which seems like a very virtuous goal, right? Oh, we just wanted you guys to get along. But the army also wants their soldiers to get along, and they shape them, they mold them, but then they use them to their own purpose. There's always a deeper purpose, a deeper agenda that they have, these beings, the I, Lucifer itself, and that is likely energy extraction. All right, I'm glad that all came out kind of how I wanted to. A little bit more was shared than I had in mind, so great. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.